our stories, our experiences, our struggles. Sharing can feel natural. Sometimes, it even feels necessary. But there's something many people don't realize. Not everything needs to be shared, especially later in life. There are certain details that, when shared too freely, can quietly affect your privacy, your dignity, and even your relationships. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because the world doesn't always respond with the care or respect we expect. After 70, the way people listen can change. The way words are interpreted can shift. What you meant as honesty may be received as weakness. What felt like openness may be seen as vulnerability. And once some things are shared, they can't always be taken back. This video isn't about keeping secrets. It's about choice. It's about understanding which parts of your life deserve protection, and which conversations are better kept within trusted boundaries. Today, we'll look at 4 common things many seniors share without realizing the impact. Not to create fear, but to help you stay steady, respected, and in control of your own story. These aren't dramatic warnings. They're quiet insights, often learned too late. If you've ever felt uneasy after sharing something personal, or noticed a relationship subtly change, this conversation may resonate with you. Let's begin with the first one. One of the most common areas where many seniors share more than they realize comes first. It usually doesn't feel risky at all. It feels like ordinary conversation, talking about money, savings, living costs, pensions, plans for later years. So the first thing worth paying attention to is this: sharing too much about your finances. Not in obvious ways. Not by handing over bank details or showing documents, but through small comments. A passing remark at lunch. A story meant to relate. An offhand mention of how things are going. Most of the time, this comes from a good place. Trust, openness, the desire to connect. But here's something many people learn late. Money changes how people see you. Once financial details are shared, they don't just disappear into the air. They stay. And they quietly shape how others respond to you. Sometimes the change is subtle. A shift in tone. A different kind of question. An expectation that wasn't there before. Not everyone intends harm. But not everyone understands how sensitive this information really is. Oversharing finances can create pressure. Pressure to lend. Pressure to explain. Pressure to justify choices you've made over a lifetime. And over time, that pressure can chip away at something important. Your sense of control. Your independence. There's another layer that often goes unnoticed. Financial openness can increase vulnerability. Scams rarely begin with strangers asking directly for money. They begin with information. Small details. Shared casually. Collected quietly. Where you live. How you manage day to day. What kind of support you rely on. Each detail may seem harmless on its own, but together, they create a picture you never meant to share. This doesn't mean becoming secretive. It means becoming intentional. Knowing who truly needs to know, and who does not. Trusted professionals. Close family members. Carefully chosen conversations. Those boundaries protect more than finances. They protect dignity. They protect peace of mind. Consider this example. An older woman, well into her 70s, often chatted openly about money with neighbors. Nothing dramatic. Just everyday comments. rising costs, helping adult children, what she worried about for the future. Over time, those conversations changed how people interacted with her. Advice she didn't ask for, questions that felt intrusive, assumptions she never intended to invite. Eventually, she stopped feeling comfortable in conversations that once felt easy, not because she had done anything wrong, but because her openness had shifted the balance. Later, she chose to share financial details only with people directly involved. And something changed. Conversations felt lighter again. Boundaries felt clearer. Her sense of ease returned. That's the quiet power of discretion. Keeping financial matters private isn't about fear. It's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that a lifetime of decisions deserves thoughtful boundaries. When you choose carefully what you share and with whom, you stay in control of your own story. And that control matters because it shapes how others see you, and just as importantly, how you see yourself. Now, with that in mind, let's turn to another area that's often shared without a second thought, one that affects not just privacy, but how capable others believe you to be. It doesn't involve money, but it can quietly change how capable others believe you are. The second area worth paying attention to has to do with health. More specifically, how much we share about our physical struggles. Talking about health feels natural. Aches and pains come up in conversation. Doctor visits are mentioned. Medications are discussed. Sometimes it's simply a way to explain why you're tired, or why you couldn't attend something. And that makes sense. But here's the part many people don't expect. Health details shape how others see your strength. Once certain information is shared widely, it can quietly follow you, not as concern, but as assumption. People may begin to speak more slowly to you. They may stop asking you to do things. They may decide, without saying it, that you need less responsibility, not because you asked for help, but because they now see you differently. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. A decision made for you. An invitation that doesn't come. A suggestion that you take it easy. Over time, these small changes add up, and they can affect something very important. Your independence, your confidence, your sense of being capable. There's another side to this as well. When health concerns are shared too openly, they can invite unwanted opinions, advice you didn't ask for, judgments you didn't expect, comparisons that don't help. Some people may mean well, but constant focus on limitations can quietly pull attention away from what you can still do. Consider this example. An older man in his early 70s was open about a heart condition. He managed carefully. He mentioned it often. In conversation, at social gatherings, in casual chats. Over time, people stopped inviting him on walks. They stopped asking for his help. They spoke to him with caution, not because he couldn't manage, but because they assumed he shouldn't. Eventually, he noticed something had changed. Not in his body, but in how others treated him. Later, he chose a different approach. He shared health details only with those who truly needed to know. Doctors, close family, one trusted friend. And something shifted. People began including him again. Expectations returned. His confidence followed. This doesn't mean pretending nothing is wrong. It means choosing discretion, deciding when sharing supports you, and when it quietly limits you. Your health journey is personal. It deserves care, respect, and thoughtful boundaries. When you protect how much you share, you protect how others see your ability, and just as importantly, how you see yourself. Before we continue, take a quiet moment. If this part resonated with you, you're welcome to leave a short comment below. Even one word is enough. And if you'd like more calm, practical conversations like this, you're welcome to subscribe. Now, let's move on to another area that's often overlooked. One that affects not just privacy, but how connected you feel to others. There's a third area that many people don't realize can quietly affect their lives later on. It often begins with good intentions. It feels like honesty or emotional release. It involves sharing family matters. More specifically, sharing conflicts, disappointments, or private struggles within the family. Talking about family can feel natural. After all, these are the people who have shaped much of our lives. When something hurts, it can feel relieving to talk about it, to explain what happened, to be understood, to feel validated. And that's human. But here's where things become complicated. Family stories carry weight, especially when they're shared repeatedly, or with the wrong audience. When private family conflicts are spoken about openly, they don't stay contained. They travel through conversations, through interpretations, through opinions you never asked for. Over time, those stories can quietly reshape how others see not just your family, but you. Some people may feel pulled into taking sides. Others may begin to see your loved ones through a single moment, rather than a lifetime of shared history. And sometimes, those opinions find their way back through subtle comments, through awkward silence, through changed behavior. What started as sharing can slowly turn into distance. There's another layer many people overlook. When older adults speak often about family conflict, it can unintentionally change how others see their emotional stability, not because they are unstable, but because repetition creates an impression. People may begin to worry, or to judge, or to feel unsure about engaging, and that can lead to something painful: being listened to less, being included less, being seen more as a source of tension than as a presence of warmth. Consider this example. An older woman, retired and living nearby her children, often spoke about disagreements with her daughter. Nothing dramatic. Small frustrations, different opinions, unmet expectations. She shared these stories with neighbors, friends at social gatherings, and even distant relatives. Over time, those conversations began to shape how people responded. Some offered advice she didn't want. Others avoided the topic altogether. A few quietly distanced themselves, unsure of what to say. What she noticed most wasn't a change in her family. It was a change in her social world. Conversations felt heavier. Laughter came less easily. Connection felt strained. Eventually, she chose a different approach. She kept family conflicts within a smaller circle. One trusted friend, a journal, private reflection. And something shifted. Her social interactions felt lighter, more present, less emotionally loaded. This doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means choosing where that pain is shared. Family matters are deeply personal. They deserve care. They deserve context. And they deserve boundaries. Sharing selectively doesn't mean you're hiding the truth. It means you're protecting relationships, both with others and within your own family. It also protects something just as important: your sense of peace, your sense of balance, and your ability to stay connected without carrying the weight of unresolved tension into every conversation. When family stories are shared thoughtfully, they no longer define you. They become just one part of your life, and that allows space for lighter moments, deeper connections, and a calmer presence. Now, let's turn to one more area, one that's often shared quietly, sometimes without words, but can shape how people see you more than you might expect. The fourth thing worth paying attention to is sharing deep regrets or unresolved emotional wounds too openly. As people age, reflection becomes more natural. Looking back, remembering choices, revisiting moments that still carry weight. Talking about regret can feel honest, even healing. But when regret becomes a regular topic, something subtle can happen. Past pain starts to define the present. When stories of disappointment or missed chances are shared repeatedly, they can quietly shape how others see you, not as you are now, but as who you once were, or as what went wrong. People may begin to associate you with sadness, with bitterness, with unfinished business, not because that's who you are, but because repetition leaves an impression. There's also an inner effect. The more regrets are spoken aloud, the more they can feel anchored in place. Instead of being acknowledged and released, they stay active. They resurface in conversation. They color the present moment. Over time, this can make it harder to feel grounded in who you are today. Consider this example. An older man often spoke about the career he didn't pursue, the opportunities he missed, the life he imagined. At first, people listened with empathy, but over time, those stories became familiar, predictable. Eventually, conversations began to stall, not because people didn't care, but because they didn't know how to respond anymore. Later, he chose to shift what he shared. He still acknowledged the past, but he spoke more about the present, what he enjoyed now, what he was learning, who he spent time with. And something changed. People responded differently. Conversations felt lighter, more balanced, more alive. This doesn't mean denying regret. It means choosing where and how it's shared. Some reflections belong in private spaces, with a trusted person, with a journal, with quiet contemplation. Not every wound needs an audience. Protecting emotional boundaries is a form of self-care. It allows room for growth and for being seen as more than your past. As we come to the end, let's pause for a moment. Think back over what we've talked about today: money, health, family matters, and emotional wounds. None of these are wrong to talk about. What matters is how and with whom they're shared. Privacy isn't about hiding. It's about choice. It's about deciding what supports your dignity, your independence, and your peace of mind. As we grow older, our words carry more weight than we realize. They shape how others see us and how we see ourselves. Choosing thoughtful boundaries doesn't close you off. It protects what matters. It helps you remain steady, respected, and in control of your own story. As we come to the end, let's pause for a moment. Think back over what we've talked about today: money, health, family matters, and emotional wounds. None of these are wrong to talk about. What matters is how and with whom they're shared. Privacy isn't about hiding. It's about choice. It's about deciding What supports your dignity, your independence, and your peace of mind. As we grow older, our words carry more weight than we realize. They shape how others see us, and how we see ourselves. Choosing thoughtful boundaries doesn't close you off. It protects what matters. It helps you remain steady, respected, and in control of your own story. If this conversation gave you something to reflect on, you're welcome to leave a short comment below. Even a single thought is enough. And if you'd like more calm, practical conversations like this, you're welcome to subscribe. Thank you for spending this time here. We'll continue the journey together.